Honestly, the worst kind of post-nut clarity that you can have as a guy, and my fellow fellas can agree or disagree with me on this, is the one where you're having a 5 alive, you get done, and then you look at the babe on the porn video, and you're like, damn, you're such a beautiful woman. Why'd you go down this path?
Get ready for the battle of the sexes.
As in, you're such a pretty lady, like you could have done so much with your life. Like you could get into modeling, you could have become an influencer without having to get naked and screw different guys. You didn't have to screw 500 guys on a porn video just to be known. Like, you seem like such a great lady. If I had met you before I watched the videos, then I'd have most definitely wanted to marry you that instant. Like, why'd you go down this path? Like, you could have become an amazing wife and you're a very beautiful lady and shit. Ah, my goodness. Now that is the point where people suddenly get into this stage where you actually think that you can turn a hoe into a housewife. And to be honest, we all know that it's a lie. We all know that it's fake. But it's like you have that hope. Because now it's like you see that woman and you can see the potential. And from the minute you start questioning why did you have to do this, then everything suddenly goes wrong. But anyways, in as much as that feeling is there, the best part about it is usually after an hour it's kind of gone. And given the opportunity, you'd still go and beat your meat to it again. And the best part about it is, you know very well that it's an emotional reaction. So in a sense, you know that it's just for the moment. It's nothing too serious. And speaking of serious, we do need to get into some slightly serious matters, which require me to begin this podcast. So in typical fashion, welcome to Break Time on West Side, your number one break time podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man who understands post-nut clarity and thus cannot try and save these hoes. He is a man whose sickness for the thickness prevents him from skinny dipping. It is none other than your tall, dark and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. The show is Battle of the Sexes, our weekly love, sex and relationships podcast, where I get to say some things that piss off some people, but well, usually once or twice we like to drop a little bit of sense, so we keep going. Now, before we go any further, I do want to start off by saying that this episode is a little bit different in that everything's been kind of flipped on its head. So the main topic is now gonna come first, and the smaller bit, which is usually a rant, I am going to do right after it. And the reasoning behind doing this could be because of the episode number that it is, just saying, hint hint. Or it could be because this is The Talk, our seasonal episode where I get to discuss all matters bedroom. And maybe it could be one of the two. Maybe. Or maybe it's a coincidence that everything just happened to line up like that. I don't know. Either way, we should get on with it. But before I do anything at all in the name of discussing shit, I do need to start by giving a mad shout out to my homie Owiti. We met at the club over the weekend and he showed a lot of love to the podcast. Mad appreciation to you. If you're showing the podcast love, then the podcast better show some love to you as well. So mad shout out to you, Wheaty, and thank you for you and just about everyone who listens to this podcast. Now, that being said, I do want to go into the whole Saweetie and Quavo breakup, which seemed pretty interesting. It's nothing too eventful for people like the Migos, who have had situations and stories where some of their members have just so happened to have breakups, have divorces filed against them, and shit like that. What I did like though is the jokes that were coming in, and there was one that I particularly liked, which I just wanted to mention here before I get into the main topic, which is Quavo and Saweetie's relationship was offset and now she has to take off. Just figured I should mention that. It's a very corny joke, but I just figured I should mention that. And now that that's been said, I think we can move on to our main topic of today. But before we do that though,
do you have controversial opinions? Do you like to engage in political commentary? Are you interested in current affairs? If so, this is Bunge's the podcast for you. You can catch myself, Sandrine, Jagame, and Nalo every week under Kenya Public Radio.
now, over the past few years that I've been doing this whole thing of discussing love, sex and relationships, whether as a radio presenter, whether as a podcaster, even as a regular civilian, there's something very interesting that I found with ladies. Ladies usually complain about one main thing that they seem not to like about guys in the bedroom, and it's usually just one very simple thing. and that is guys do not know how to pleasure them in the bedroom. And as a result of this, they usually have to leave and finish themselves off a little later, and for them to actually leave, they usually make sure that they fake nut so that the guy feels like he's done his job, and then she can turn around, dress up, leave, and go do her thing. And usually whenever I hear this, I kind of feel a little bit concerned because in a sense, this kind of promotes lying. And the worst part about it is, it's very senseless lying, because when you think about it, you're giving this guy the satisfaction of thinking that he got you to the end, yet he didn't really do anything, and you're not feeling any better about it, but you just decided to make him feel good, yet he probably already nutted. Like, I usually don't see the sense in this entire thing. But considering that that's been the case, I figured I should discuss it today because it's the talk, it's Matter's bedroom, so I might as well tackle this entire thing. Plus also, I was on Instagram and I happened to stumble upon like a story thread where women were just talking about how guys do not get them there. And here's the thing, I've listened to a lot of personal stories, or at least I've listened to a lot of groups of girls tell me this, and I've read and listened to different forms of media where women talk about this, and I kind of have a bit of an issue. And it's not necessarily on the whole idea that guys can't get women there, it's actually on the people that usually talk so loudly about this. And just bear with me for a second here, I'm not discrediting anything. Usually whenever you listen to women come out and say, oh, guys don't get us there, oh, usually we have to fake it, oh, they don't even get to the G-spot, why is it that guys don't know how to have sex? I usually listen, and I'm usually very keen to listen to who it is that says A, B, C, D about guys, so that after that I just go and I ask straight up, how is your relationship, how is your friends with benefits, have you been getting good dick lately? And I'm not usually asking this in an effort to try and bang them. I'm not doing this to hit on them or to try and see whether I can fill in that spot or anything. I usually just want to find out how it is that they're going through with it each and every day, considering that they know that they're not getting good quality sex. And the weirdest part about all of this is every single time I ask a babe this, a babe that is very vocal about guys not doing anything in between the sheets, they usually come up and they're like, no, I'm good. I've got a guy that gives me really good dick right now. And you're like, wait, what? You're like, yeah, I'm getting it really good right now. Like the guy that gives it to me, he gives it to me amazing. And I usually sit back and I'm like, if that's the situation for you right now, why are you making so much noise about it like this is a pressing issue that's been affecting you day in, day out? You've been making all this noise about guys and their inability to do shit, busy lowering a lot of guys' self-esteem, especially the ones that'll probably hear you saying such shit and they've probably given it to you. And all the other guys that supposedly claim that they're good, you're making them feel like shit. Yet the reality of the matter is a lot of guys actually give really good dick. Like a lot of guys really know how to lay it down in the bedroom. And to be completely honest, I feel as though this isn't even that big of an issue. To be completely honest, I will state that for the fact. I don't think it's that big of an issue that it affects so many women. I think there's a few guys that are actually pathetic. There are a few guys that are very, very lackluster in bed. And because of their malpractice, they make an entire gender, or at least the straight version of an entire gender, look bad for something that we are actually pretty good at. Whether we last 1 minute or we last 50. A lot of us guys are actually really good in between the sheets. And the problem is because there's gonna be women that are gonna continue complaining about the very, very few guys that do not know how to lay it down, it ends up painting a bad picture on all of us straight guys that we don't really know how to give good sex. And yet, a good number of us actually know how to do it. A good number of us are actively trying to be better at it each and every time we do it. And we're learning from our mistakes. So, in a sense, it just seems like a situation where the negative voice gets a lot more volume than the positive one does. So I would want to start by saying, you know what, there's a lot of guys that are actually really good at it. If you've had one bad experience with one guy, it doesn't mean that he's always bad. Sometimes it's just a bad day. And well, for the most part, even though you switch him, there's definitely a ton of guys that will give it to you really, really well. So while a lot of you will continue to complain that, oh, guys don't know how to give this, guys don't know how to do A, B, C, D, please remember that there's a ton of guys that know how to do it. The problem is you cannot find them. Just figured I should start by mentioning that. Now, haters and professional mouth breathers aside, let me address the issue of men who actually underperform, because I know in as much as they're not that many, there are a certain compact majority and they seem to be affected. And even the ones who are supposedly good in bed, because they're not perfect with anyone, we might as well address it for them as well, because they also have bad days. So I might as well get into this whole issue of men who supposedly cannot get women to orgasm, and kind of just start out by defending them, because let's be very honest, it's kinda hard sometimes. If you go to WebMD and you actually look at the lasting times for guys take about 7 minutes to orgasm, while women take roughly about 20 on average. I'm not saying that this is a definitive number, but on average guys will do about 7, women will do about 20. Now obviously there's guys that can go for hours, there's guys like me that only last a little over a minute. So you kind of have to accommodate the fact that we don't all last long, and because of that our performance is a little bit lackluster in some areas. Plus, like I have said many episodes before and multiple episodes after that, there's times when the shorty is just too fine, there's times when the vibe is just so perfect, I'm in a good mood, I happen to be really horny, and I end up having a bad situation where I just go in and it just comes out. It's not that I wanted it to happen. Trust me, if I knew about it, I'd have probably delayed it, but I couldn't. The booty was looking too good when I was about to hit it from the back. Shorty was looking too damn fine, and I had been looking forward to hitting it ever since, I don't know, the first time I ever saw her. And the fact that I got to do it was so invigorating and exciting that, well, it came out. And when you think about it, it has contributed to a lot of fails in the bedroom where you find that, say, a guy was going to hit this babe and he ended up nutting while he was putting on his condom. Just figured I should mention that. And let's be completely honest, even for the guys that actually can last long, I will state for a fact that we don't always know when a shorty nuts. Like, seriously, we've never seen it. We probably don't know what it looked like. Maybe we had one of those shorties that nuts in a very silent manner and, just closes her eyes and just opens her mouth a certain way. And maybe whenever we're hitting it a certain way, we see her have that same exact reaction. So we don't exactly know what her having an orgasm or what another babe having an orgasm is supposed to look like. And I'm being completely serious about this. With guys, it's very easy to know when we're about to orgasm, because usually we say, I'm about to come, or oh fuck. It's usually one of those two. If it's one of those people that wants to leave a baby in you, then they'll be silent. But that's a special case to be used in a different capacity. So in a sense, it's not that we don't want to, it's just that we don't know what it looked like. We don't know how you're supposed to behave. We don't know if you're supposed to shake. We don't know if you're static, because trust me, different women nut in very different ways. With guys, it's pretty simple. We'll say oh fuck, and some white shit comes out of our dicks. It's very easy to get us to that point. Very easy, super simple. But with a babe, we do not see the fruits of her orgasm in a physical manner, not unless if, say, she squirts, which first of all doesn't exactly occur with every single woman, and secondly isn't even guaranteed even though she's already had an orgasm. Like, it's a very weird place to be for us guys. And considering that that's our current predicament, we kind of have to take it upon their word that they've nutted. So if they lie to us, then how exactly will we know? When you think about it, considering how a lot of guys have been trained on the art of having sex, we usually are told, we usually hear from time to time, when a shorty says she likes it rough, when a shorty says that she likes a good dicking down, we usually think that as long as we can provide the heavy pound in Pound Town, then it's gonna work out. And a lot of times, if we pound, she makes noise, and at some point she's like, yo, I'm tired, I'm done. A lot of us usually think that we've done the damn thing. Yet the truth of the matter is, we might have even been injuring her and we don't even know it. Which is why having the conversation, having the talk, no pun intended, and actually saying what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what it is that you would like, what it is that you don't like, if you prefer that he swirls his tongue a little bit when he's giving you that head, if you want to be choked even though your parents pray for you each and every day to have a long and very, very beautiful life, like if you want some of that, make sure you tell him either beforehand or as you're in the whole moment of everything else. Otherwise, this guy is gonna continue underperforming and malpracticing in one way or another, busy thinking that he's doing everything okay. So you might as well tell him beforehand. And this whole thing of having the conversation either before or during the action of it is something that's very, very crucial, which is why a lot of people who have relationships, who have some partners that are whether short term, whether long term, whether friends with benefits or actual relationship, are usually told from time to time by a lot of us that you need to teach your partner what it is that you like done to you. You need to say what it is that you want, because everyone is different. Just because the other babe wanted me to hit it from the back doesn't mean that you will prefer getting it from the back. And in a sense, making sure that the other person knows that is key to actually having a good sexual experience. Now, of course, we probably won't want that much dialogue in between sex. So having it before, or just making sure you give enough words to give direction while you're doing it is usually essential. But I figured I should just state that for the record. There's a lot of guys that don't know how to get you there, and you will have to teach them. You will have to tell them how it is that you want to be pleasured. And while you're at it, please remember that there's guys that also fake nut. So you might as well also watch out for them as well and ask them what it is that they like so that you can give it to them in the best way possible. And now that that's been handled, I might as well move on to the slightly shorter bit, which I found to be pretty interesting and I felt would probably sound better if it came after the talk, because it does relate to the talk itself. And it was a post that I saw on Instagram which read, "Sex, 7 Lies Society Tells Men." And I do have to admit, because I do happen to be a part of the dick swinging straight masculine human population of the planet, I would probably be the best person to kind of debunk whether these are lies that actually exist, whether these are false lies that don't even exist, or whether there's something else that we need to look at. So I'll kind of dive into them very quickly. So the first one is, have as much sex as possible. And yes, this is actually a lie, because society has kind of made it look like the more you bang as a guy, the more superior you are, or the better you are in a sense. And it does help someone in terms of an ego boost, but the reality of it is that unless if you're someone who does a lot of kissing and telling, then the ego boost is only on an internal level and you're kind of lying to yourself, because whether you bang one person or 100, the person that you look at in the mirror is still gonna be the same person. So in a sense, yes, it's a lie that society has told us. Now, the second one is, it's all about penetration. This, I can't really state whether it's a lie or it's truth, because in a sense that's all we've been taught. So even though I came out to call it a lie or a truth, I'd have to have more knowledge around what gives the typical man pleasure besides penetration and or some simulation of penetration, such as Five Alive and shit. So to this, I wouldn't exactly call it a lie, but I can't exactly call it a truth because there is limited information on this. 3, porn is a good role model. No, I think this is bullshit. We haven't been told this by society. We haven't even been told to look at porn as a role model in any sense of the word. The truth of the matter is, because there is very little sex ed, people don't know how to do it. People are always looking for information on how to do it well or how to do it better. They will go to the one place that just so happens to specialize in actually having sex. And guess what the fuck that is? Pornography. Yes, Kama Sutra is also an option, but look at how available Kama Sutra is in relation to pornography. On top of that, porn is advertised to me a hell of a lot more than Kama Sutra is. So I will look towards porn not necessarily as a role model of sorts, but just as a guide point, because I don't have any other guide point as is. That's for the people that usually don't go sit around and listen in or ask people about having sex. So that in itself isn't a lie by society, that's just a matter of circumstance. So number 4 is don't catch feelings, of which it's not really a lie per se. We're expected to suppress them. it's not really about not catching them. People know the rule is to not catch feelings, especially when it's something casual, but we know that that in itself isn't exactly what happens on the ground. And the truth of the matter is, it's more of a case of you need to learn to suppress them rather than not catching them at all. If you catch them, you better be ready to dispose of them real quick. If you're not gonna dispose of them, you better be ready to actually suppress them, because that can complicate a lot of shit. Anyways, on to the fifth one. Being a virgin is bad. This isn't necessary. Okay, it's actually a lie that society does tell you to a certain extent, in that the experienced people will always seem better off. And in a sense, it just could be a situation where because we partake in it together, then we know and we're good, as opposed to someone who doesn't, so they can't really say much in a room. So I can say that yes, this is a lie that society tells you. Being a virgin isn't bad, it just won't really get you that many babes, because there's not that many people that like breaking in a virgin. Just saying. The next one is guys want it all the time. To which I say yes, this is a societal lie that's been fed to us. People think that guys are always down to fuck. Like, women usually get super pissed off when a guy turns them down when it comes to sex. And it's like, it usually baffles a lot of people that this guy wouldn't want to bang this babe, or this guy wouldn't want to bang such and such a babe. No matter how fine or ugly they are, people expect guys to always want to fuck. And the truth of the matter is, it's not like we always want to do it all the time. Yes, there's definitely guys that will do it, and there's guys that do want to do it, but the truth of the matter is, well, it just isn't true. There's guys that have good testosterone levels and everything, even some with low testosterone levels, that do not want to bang as much. There's some people that can do it once in like a month and they'll be perfectly okay. And while they do set the standard for the stereotype, it doesn't relate to all men. So just make sure you know that. And last but certainly not least, men cannot be survivors of rape and or sexual abuse. To which I say yes, this is actually a societal lie, which I honestly hope and pray will actually be acknowledged in the future, because, well, we might not know that we're being raped or being sexually abused, but it's something that happens to us quite a bit. So that being said, I do want to know your thoughts on each and every one of these societal so-called lies. Do you believe that they're all true? Do you think that they're all false? Or do you think that there's something different that hasn't been said to this entire thing? The DMs are open. On Instagram, it is at Breaktime on Westside. On Facebook, it is also at Breaktime on Westside. And on Twitter, if you want to slide into my personal DMs, it is at Bagaka the D. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end. And if you are listening on Castbox, feel free to drop your thoughts and comments below, and I will attend to them accordingly. And I will catch you guys on the next break. Take care.